Salawat. Welcome and congratulations again on the birth anniversary of our living Imam. Today's event, it's a unique one because as we are separated from our beloved Imam, it leads to a type of loneliness. It leads to a pining. And so while it is, of course, a joyous occasion, it is a little bit bittersweet as we reflect on this separation. And we really do have to contemplate what this separation means and how it needs to be informing our actions on a day-to-day basis. And because of that, we thought that inviting Sister Berak would be a great way for us to really have these conversations, these deep, meaningful conversations. So tonight, after Sister Berak gives us remarks via the presentation, we're actually going to be forming groups, and we'll be having an interactive workshop so we can really work amongst these, work through these conversations in small groups in a very intimate way. However, of course, as always, before we begin the program officially, I'd like to please invite Brother Wasi for Quran recitation.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Can I have a louder salawat? اللهم
صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى صدق الله مولانا العلي العظيم وصدق الرسول النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وسهل مخرجهم وانصر شيعتهم والأنع داءهم صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أحسنتم ما شاء الله ما شاء الله.
MashaAllah, thank you so much, Brother Wasi. Your recitation is always so beautiful and so welcome. So I would like to now introduce our esteemed speaker for tonight. Sister Berak Hussain is a registered psychotherapist with 16 years of psychotherapy experience in Canadian academic institutions and in local and international community organizations. She recently launched her own private practice, Serene Nafs Wellness. So actually, if you were to pop right outside of the hall here, you'll see more information about the practice. And there's cards outside as well. She has a BA in psychology and a master's in educational counseling and is a member of the Colleges of Registered Psychotherapists of Ontario. Outside of therapy sessions, she's known on social media as the Muslim counselor, and is a passionate public speaker in Muslim mental health, social justice, domestic violence, and in women's issues, Islamic issues, and poetry. She has worked locally and internationally on a variety of mental health initiatives, including spearheading the Serenity Islamic Mental Health Awareness Initiative. She speaks on a variety of Islamic and psychological issues, bridging the connection and misconceptions around Islam and mental health within Muslim communities, from a professional Muslim communities. She's also developed and implemented wellness programs with widow and orphan charity groups in Iraq and is currently the ambassador for Al-Kawthar Project for Widows and Orphans. So I would like to now turn over the mic to our esteemed speaker to please lead us through a presentation, and then please do remember we'll be moving to an interactive part of the workshop tonight after that, and we'll have more specific instructions at that point.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you so much, Sister Rada. Can we have a salawat for our sister? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalam ala ashraf al-mursaleen. سيدنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبا القاسم محمد وعلى آل محمد صلوات. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Congratulations once again on the auspicious occasion of the birth of our beloved Imam. May Allah bless you always, and may we all be amongst the 313, inshallah, in his service, inshallah. It's a privilege to be with you here this weekend, celebrating together and connecting together in different ways the spiritual, the religious, but also holistically, inshallah, for the next 2 days, spiritually and mentally as well, and psychologically, inshallah. We, inshallah, are going to be exploring topics that affect us so deeply, how we can cultivate resilience in our mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being while we await for the appearance of Imam al-Mahdi Ajallah Ta'ala Faraja. Is the voice clear? You can hear, all right? It's good. So we live in a time, as the sister mentioned earlier, in terms of loneliness, where it is widespread, where peer pressure is strong, and the digital age presents new challenges to our mental health and our well-being. When you hear the words mental health, what comes to your mind? I know this community has been introduced to mental health. My sister and colleague, Sister Anisa Diab, was here recently, and she touched upon it in a different way, right? So when you hear the words mental health, psychology, what comes to your mind? Depression, anxiety, what else? Mental strength, therapy, what else? That it's weakness, yeah? Helplessness. We've heard mostly negative words so far, right? What if you heard physical health? What comes to your mind? Uh-huh. Strong, yeah. What else? Well-being. Counseling. Physical health. Medicine. Nutrition. Exercise. Yeah, right? Usually positive words are connected to the word physical health, but when we talk about mental health, right away we get into the negative aspects of it, right? Physical and mental health are equally the same parts of ourselves, really, if you think about it. They're interconnected. Inshallah, in future sessions, we'll get into more depth on that, but tonight I want you to have a high-level understanding that mental health and physical health are interconnected. It's a holistic concept of the spiritual, the physical, and everything around us. If one part of us is not well, the whole body's not well. Does this sound familiar? Right? So when it comes to mental health and well-being, if we're not okay here and here, it's going to show up physically in our body as well, right? So we want to be holistically stable, grounding ourselves, and when we're off, we want to take care of that so we get back in balance, so to speak. So it's kind of a high-level definition of what mental health and well-being is. And tonight we're going to take a look at it from a different way, especially in honor of our Imam, inshallah. So when we take a look at these challenges that we experience with the digital age, with our mental health, we see that social media, although it connects us in ways we've never seen before, yet many of us feel more isolated than ever, right? The constant comparison, the pressure rather to fit in, and the unrealistic portrayals of life online that often leaves us feeling really inadequate, right? So how do we resist these pressures? How do we develop inner confidence and strength and stay grounded in our faith amidst these struggles? So inshallah tonight, we're going to explore these 3 essentials. Now before I begin, I want to bring attention to those of you who already sat down and you have something that looks like this. All right, so I want you to take that out. If you haven't already seen it, there's chocolate in there. And I believe that chocolate is therapy. You will never change my mind on that. Chocolate, especially dark chocolate, is the best of therapy. It actually releases oxytocin and it's got antioxidants. So when you're feeling sad, just eat some chocolate after you read some Quran. So there's a notebook in here for your use, inshallah, and a pen. And mashallah, the Idara really worked hard on this. Look what the pen says. Mental health matters. And there's a stress relief ball here as well that you can use throughout our session today, where you can just take and squeeze. And this is something, part of strategies that I actually use with my own clients or patients. And I give them out when I do workshops to people. So happy that the Idara had this ready for you. So this is actually something you can use to release your stress. When you're angry, instead of using words or punching the wall or anything like that, take this and just do that. And I actually use this with the orphans and widows in Iraq when we have our wellness circles. I give these out. They have happy faces on them, so to make it positive. And I tell the mothers, this is yours. You're not giving it to your child. When your child comes to take it, no, it belongs to you. Because usually everything these widows have, they give to their children, right? So this is for you. So this is for you, inshallah. Throughout our presentation today, you can just sit there and just gently squeeze, go from hand to hand. And you notice when you release, what happens here? The tension eases up, right? And you feel good. Inshallah, maybe if we have time at the end today, we'll do a mindfulness meditation. I'll teach you from head to toe how to relax your body. But while we're doing this today, or the presentation, you can just squeeze there. And please do take notes. Take notes. If you don't like old school, write it in your phone. And inshallah, at the end today for our workshop, you're going to be taking these concepts and ideas that we're exploring, and we're going to use them. So that's why I want you to take notes. Tamam? Inshallah, we're all good? All right. So, inshallah, tonight, we're going to explore these 3 essential areas. How to resist negative peer pressure by building inner confidence and staying grounded in Islamic values. We're going to look at how to address loneliness in a world where social media often amplifies feelings of isolation, and how to replace negative self-talk with a positive growth mindset. So inshallah, by nurturing our mental, emotional, and spiritual wellness, we will be able, inshallah, to prepare ourselves not just for our personal well-being, but for the noble mission of the Imam. Does that make sense? In order to take care of ourselves, can we have a salawat? I just didn't want it in my face. No, it's all right. Is that good? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. All right, we're all ready to begin? You got your phone and your notes and squeezing and having chocolate in your mouth as well with your chai? All good. Khair, inshallah. So one of the biggest challenges that we face today is what? Peer pressure. The pressure to conform, to follow trends, to seek validation from others. It's all around us, right? Whether you're in school, whether you're in the workplace or online, there's an unspoken expectation to think, dress, and act a certain way, to conform, to be cool, to fit in, to be accepted, right? So many times we feel compelled to compromise our values, unfortunately, to avoid being judged or excluded. But as followers of the Ahlul Bayt, salamallah alayhum, we're called to something higher. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he tells us, do not be a slave to others when Allah has created you free. So how do we resist negative peer pressure? By strengthening these 3 essential aspects. Number 1, developing strong self-identity. Our Islamic identity, that is our anchor. When we truly understand who we are as believers, we no longer seek validation from those who do not share our values. We've noticed in the workplace or when you're at school, they bring in pizza that has pepperoni on it, or you're invited to go out, the classic, workplace Christmas dinner, and there's alcohol there. You're torn. If I don't go, I'm going to look like I'm a loser or isolated or not connecting, right? Or if I don't get that pizza, then, I'm not joining in, or I have strange food when I bring in. These thoughts come up. But what we want to do is hold on to our own identity, right? So we ask ourselves, instead of asking, what will people think? What should we ask instead? What should we ask? With me. What should we ask? Instead of saying, what are people going to think? What would please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So this is a shift right there. Shift. Okay, remember this, hand movement. I do a lot of hand movements. I'm Iraqi Arab, so I use my hands to talk a lot. So remember, shift. Shift in our thought pattern here. This perspective will make us less vulnerable to external pressures. All right, so as soon as you think about what will please Allah, shift. Doesn't matter what people think. I'm not here to impress people. Does that make sense? All right. So this is how we can develop part of developing our strong identity. Now, each of these points is a whole lecture on itself. I'm just taking high-level points and going through them. And, inshallah, you are going to discuss these more in detail, right? Number 2, choosing the right companions, right? Not أصدقاء السوء, أصدقاء الخير. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said a person, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. A person follows the way of his close companions. good or bad, right? So if we surround ourselves with those who pull us towards negativity, we're gonna struggle to stay firm, right? But if we choose friends who remind us of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and encourage us with personal growth, we will naturally develop the confidence to stand firm in our own beliefs, right? We're not gonna conform to the negativity. Number 3, embracing self-confidence through ilm, knowledge, right? From cradle to the, exactly. When we equip ourselves with knowledge, both of our faith and our own self-worth, we become less susceptible to external influences. We studying the Quran, we learn from the wisdom of the Ahlul Bayt salam Allah alayhim, and reminding yourself of the divine purpose that you were created for, rather than being pulled to dunya and the attractions and the allure of what this materialistic world can provide us. So resisting peer pressure, it's not about isolating ourselves, because we are not meant for that. We are social creatures, you've heard that. And us as an ummah, we don't want to be isolated, right? We want to go out there in our community, Muslim as well as other faith communities, show ourselves proudly, not conforming, standing tall with our head up, with our faith and our hijab, both men and women hijab, right? But strong in our identity. And I understand how difficult that can be when we're in Islamophobic times and so on and so forth. But then when we think back to the Muslim ban at the time of the Prophet, when he was banned outside of the tribes and how everybody turned against them, how did they survive back then? They stood firm in their faith, right? With the strength and the sword of Imam Ali and the wealth of Sayyidah Khadija that irrigated Islam early on, right? So these are very simple but strong examples to remind ourselves. They didn't conform. In fact, what happened is the rest had to conform to the faith afterwards, right? They converted. Although very questionably, and I'm sure Maulana can tell us more about that, that the hypocrites, right? The two faces. They conformed just to be accepted in society, but underneath, the munafiqun in their hearts, right? That was quite different. All right, how do we feel about this? Are we feeling comfortable here in terms of understanding a little bit about peer pressure? And as you can see, these are topics in themselves that we can spend hours talking about and exploring holistically from so many different angles. But we have the main ideas so far. Tamam, good? Tamam, alhamdulillah. So let's look now at addressing loneliness in the digital age, right? So despite living in this era of constant digital connection, we can see that loneliness has become an epidemic. And we saw that during the pandemic, right? How we were isolated and stuck in our own homes. But subhanAllah, did we not make every single home a masjid at the same time during that time? Didn't we do that, right? So many of us have felt and perhaps still feel unseen, unheard, and disconnected. We see that social media, instead of fostering a real connection, it often magnifies our feelings of isolation. So we see curated versions of people, fake lives, right? Do you know how many pictures and videos these people have to take just to make it look like they're happy? Some people have actually come later and spoken about how miserable they are, right? By trying to put on a fake life of how happy, how much money they're making, and so on and so forth, when it's all fake. I can also personally tell you, having done therapy with some of these social influencers, social media influencers, they're not actual social influencers, they're miserable in their lives. Their lives are a mess. And I sit and look at them like, mashallah, you don't show that. I see their posts the next day or after they leave my therapy session, and you know, they look like they have it together, but underneath they're a mess. So beware of what social media shows you. I had once a client, a student, university, like look how influenced they were, where this person straight up told me, I become happy when I see a like on my picture. They connected their worth and value to the like. What did I say earlier? Your worth and value and your knowledge and faith, that is value. Not how many likes you get and so on and so forth. And we need to instill that in our youth growing up. Inshallah, I'll be chatting with them tomorrow more about this stuff, right? And I don't think it impacts us as much here, but sometimes, you know, the shaitan can get in there and play around with ideas in our heads about that, right? So you see that the reels, the posts, and so on and so forth, they make us question our own worth sometimes. When you see somebody living the best lives, supposedly, right? So Islam provides us with powerful ways to address loneliness. Number one, strengthening our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the most profound cure for loneliness is knowing that we are never truly alone, right? Allah is always near. Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam teaches us in the Sahifa Sajjadiyya, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And this is something that I'm writing about now in terms of the psychological impact of the du'as of Sahifa Sajjadiyya. And if you actually look it up on Ahl Bayt TV, there's a beautiful documentary that was done on the Sahifa Sajjadiyya. I highly recommend that you take a look at it later tonight, these days, where a variety of different experts, psychotherapists, psychiatrists, mental health professionals, along with Islamic scholars, were talking about the impact of Sahifa Sajjadiyya. I'm actually currently writing about it now. And in this book, we see how the Imam is teaching us how to converse with Allah in our most vulnerable moments. The 15 whispered prayers is incredible. They're incredible because they address worry, medical or clinical term, anxiety, sadness. What's the clinical term? Depression, right? So it addresses a variety of different mental health challenges that we're all experiencing, psychological challenges that we experience, worth and value, so on and so forth. That's addressed in there from 1400 years ago. SubhanAllah, right? And of course, when we talk about the Holy Quran, one of my favorite verses that I deeply connect with, and I always talk about it when I talk about psychology and mental health, is in Surah Al-Ra'd, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Say it with me if you remember. Ala bi dhikrillah tatma'inna al-qulub. Verily, with the remembrance of Allah, do our hearts find tranquility, serenity, peace, calmness. All right? SubhanAllah. And what is dhikr? So many different interpretations for that. The way I look at it from the lens of the work that I do, holistically, dhikr could be through meditation, mindfulness meditation, and we can use this skill, especially when we do tasbihatul zahra, right? Right? Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah. How many times do you go through it? Allahu Akbar, like we just go it like quickly, but we don't really do it mindfully. What does mindfully mean? Consciously thinking about it. What else? Reflecting. Like when you're saying the word Allahu Akbar, we don't say it like that in our tasbih. How are we saying it? Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, right? But if we really think about it, Allahu Akbar, there's nobody, nothing greater than Allah. Like, see how right now you just felt that. Alhamdulillah. What is this connecting with? Gratefulness, gratitude, right? Alhamdulillah, we have fans in here right now moving the air around. It would have been quite stuffy. Simple example. Alhamdulillah, we have the freedom and the opportunity to celebrate the birth of our Imam, whereas probably for in other parts of the world, we could not. I was in Umrah a few weeks ago. Wow, subhanallah. Being able to go every few months down to Iraq, and then all of a sudden going there is a world of difference in terms of how you can express your love for the Ahl al-Bayt and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so I'm quite grateful. And when we go to ziyarah in Iraq, it's very different, right? These are big things. What are simple things that we could be grateful for when we say Alhamdulillah? All His blessings, our health, our wealth, family, our siblings, our friends, our favorite foods. I'm always saying Alhamdulillah for food. I love food. I get excited when I see food. Alhamdulillah, you know. So think of what you have and don't have in your life. How hard would you work towards getting those things that you do not have? right? So it gives you that perspective right there in terms of what I have and don't have, and what would I do to get those things that I don't have. Or looking at those who are not as blessed as us, right? We know the holy month of Ramadan is coming up very quickly and reminding us of that. Got a little off topic here, but I believe it's very important when we look at Sahifat Sajadiyya and dhikr and all of that. These are concepts we're very familiar with, and what I term as Islamic counseling, Islamic psychological terms, because we already have that. Ilm al-nafs. Psychology is ilm al-nafs. The ruh, the nafs. The nafs is talked about in the Quran, subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? It's written in there. The 3 parts of the nafs. Who recalls those? Nafsul. These 3 parts of the nafs, I actually studied that in my master's when I was putting these ideas together in terms of what we have in our faith that is similar to what we have in Western psychology. Nafsul mutma'inna comes from itmi'nan, from what we were talking about, the ayah al-Qur'aniyya, coming to that place of peace, right? What are the other 2 nafses? You remember? Al-ammara wal-lawama. Ammara is what part of you? The one that is pulling you towards bad, negativity, sin, and so on and so forth, right? And nafsul lawama, what is that part of you? The self-reproaching, right? The self-reproaching and the negative self, and the self that we want to get to, the peaceful part. Inshallah, in future sessions, we'll get more into detail with this stuff. But for now, I just wanted to bring it up here in terms of how relevant this all is, right? So this is through strengthening our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I want to make sure that we have the right, so yeah, perfect. Number 2, prioritizing face-to-face relationships. How important is that? Which is great, alhamdulillah, how we're back in our centers after COVID, right? Being able to have that face-to-face, right? So virtual connections, they cannot replace real-life interactions. So making time for meaningful conversations with family and friends, or this new trend of getting to know people for marriage and then meeting them and you're being catfished and they're not even the same as how they present themselves, right? There's this whole world, and perhaps we can do sessions on that for our youth, you know, how to get married to the right people, because social media sure can mess that up, and I've heard so many horror stories. So it's really important, excuse me, to attend our community gatherings, volunteering, whether it's here, hospitals, and all sorts of places in our community outside that we can also volunteer, especially if you want to apply for medical school or anywhere like that. We want to see holistically the volunteer part, right? So you want to contribute to the world around you in a way that brings purpose and connection, and most importantly, meaning. You know what I tell my clients that have depression? Go volunteer. Why? Why do you suppose? And I remember there was somebody who had given a presentation about their life as somebody living with depression. What they said, what really stood out for me more than any training that I got, was this patient who lived with depression. You know how they dealt with depression? They said, I exercise, because if you don't take care of your stress, it then gets into clinical issues, physical as well as mental health issues. Because stress is a buildup of cortisol hormones that end up breaking down your immunity and your health and so on and so forth. So when you exercise, you get rid of them and you put endorphins into your system. They talked about exercise, eating healthy foods, not processed and fried and so on and so forth, but healthy whole foods. I know fried foods in our culture, but you know, we gotta balance, right? Fried cauliflower, broccoli, does that work? No, you want them whole. So exercise, nutrition, taking their medications regularly, because they needed to take their meds for their depression. It wasn't an addiction, because a lot of us are afraid of taking medication when it comes to mental health, right? But then what about people who are diabetic? Do you not need your insulin? Are you addicted at this point if you're taking insulin? You need it to survive. There are some people who are clinically diagnosed with mental health disorders and illnesses where they require medication to balance the imbalance of chemicals in their bodies, just like diabetes, which is why I go back to when I talk about mental and physical health. Does that make sense? You need those medications for that balance. It doesn't mean you're addicted. You're not addicted to insulin if you're a diabetic. You need it to survive. So we need to break that misconception around that when it comes to taking medications. So this person continued like that. And then they talked about regular therapy with their therapists. And that's a whole other fear I know our community's afraid of. What are people going to think of me? Are going to think I'm crazy? There's something wrong with me. The family secret's going to go out, et cetera, et cetera. But these are misconceptions we need to work on as a community to make people feel safe to go to such spaces, to get the support and help. Otherwise, people are going to feel isolated. And when they're isolated, their anxiety goes up, depression gets worse, and then what happens? They start having these ideas of not wanting to, and I know we have young people here, so I don't want to get too detailed, but you understand what I'm saying. We want to be able to prevent that by encouraging people who need help to get the help that they need. All right? Whether you don't feel maybe comfortable from somebody from our own community, then go seek it from somebody outside the community, as long as you're getting the support and help. When you have a cold, when you break your arm, do you not go to the emergency and get help there? Why is it that when we have a break in spirit, we don't go get the support that we need? Right? So inshallah, tonight, I'm bringing in stuff that I have from other presentations that I do to talk about mental health and psychology, because these are things that are important, and we tie it back here again in terms of our connections and our face-to-face relationships, making it safe for people to come to you and say, I'm not okay, or checking up on each other, right? Number 3, the mindful, one last point. The whole point was that person who was talking about how they live with depression, and they really focused on volunteering. They said when they go volunteer and help people, it makes them feel better. Subhanallah. When you help other people, you feel good. That in itself has a cure for it, subhanallah. So mindful use, and we're getting here close to the end. So mindful use of social media. I mean, we still want to use it positively. How am I here today? Because somebody saw me on social media, brought me for a conference, and then I met the doctor who came up to me and said, I want to bring you here. There's something positive out of that, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today. So it can be a tool for positivity, for inspiration, positive influence, right? Or it can be a source of anxiety depending on how we use it, how you choose to use it, right? You want to follow pages that uplift you, that encourage you, right? That give you something inspirational, knowledge as well, right? Not a waste of time. Engage in discussions that enhance your knowledge. Set limits on scrolling and be intentional about how you consume content. Those of you who have little children and your child gets upset, you give them the phone. At 1 year old, your child can open the screen and do all sorts of wonders that you and I have never thought that we could do in our lifetime. That is terrifying. Have you noticed when you take the phone away, what happens to your child? What happens? They get angry, they get irritated. You notice that scream, the murderous scream that comes out of their mouth? That's addiction right there. That response is what? Their backlash of not getting what they want. They need it. They need it. Like, and then what do? You give it back to them. How many times have we seen that at majalis, right? Or events here, right? My daughter, she had with her coloring book and arts. That's what she had wherever we went, or toys. And that's the kind of thing that we need to engage in, that kind of stuff. Otherwise, they will be addicted. Do you know the people who created these devices, they do not give these tools and devices to their children until they're after the age of 16? Did you know that? Silicon Valley developers, they don't give these devices to their children until after the age of 16. It affects brain development as well, right? So again, that in itself is a whole other topic we can discuss for another time, inshallah. So be mindful and intentional of the content that you're consuming here. True connection, it comes from meaningful relationships with Allah, with ourselves, and with those around us. So by strengthening these, we can break from the cycle of loneliness, inshallah. So finally, the last part here, is everybody taking notes? Yeah? Is anybody in a food coma? Okay, stand up. Quick, stand up, everybody. Stand up, tiptoe, stretch, get the muscles and the blood flowing, because I saw some people were closing their eyes. I'm not taking it personally, because I know when you have a heavy meal, stretch a little bit, get the blood flowing. We're all good? Ready? Okay, last part. Are we all taking notes? Are we doing this? Because I'm going to ask you at the end how it's going to feel, how your body feels, because this relaxes you after you're done doing that. All right. So how do we work on replacing negative self-talk with a growth mindset? So many of us struggle with an inner voice. Our parents call it the shaitan, right? And that voice sometimes, it can tell us that we're not good enough. You're not good enough. You hear that sometimes, right? Negative self-talk. What is something that sometimes you hear yourself say to yourself? I'm not good enough. I'm a failure. I'm so stupid. Have you ever said that? Oh, that's so stupid of me. That's such a harsh thing to say to your nafs. And your nafs starts fighting with you, right? And the lawam is like, don't say that to yourself. You would never say that to somebody unless you're being abusive. And abuse is a whole other topic, right? But if you would never willingly say something to somebody unless you were intentionally hurting them. So why do you say that to yourself? Your nafs has a right over you, has a haqq over you. It's an amana from Allah that you're not supposed to harm and hurt, right? Yeah, and we say things to ourselves. I will never change. I'm so stupid. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. What happens when we are in this negative self-talk loop? We're trapped. We are trapped in self-doubt. So I ask you this question, or think about this. The imam of our time does not need people who are perfect. Because kamal and perfection is only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the ma'sumin, right? He needs people who are growing, who are improving, and are striving to better themselves every day. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. That's our connection right there, right? So how do we develop a growth mindset? Oh, I love people taking notes down. It looks really good. You're excited about these ideas, right? So how do we do that? Number one, reframe challenges as opportunities. This is one of my favorite therapeutic tools when I have somebody in front of me. They come in with such a negative mindset, right? Everything is about despair. We have a saying in Canada, what is it? Debbie Downer. You have that expression here too, right? Everything is so gray and heavy and you just don't want to be around their energy. You feel it. You feel so when you're around people like that, right? That is heavy negative energy we want to switch. Remember we did the shift earlier? Shift. Now we're going to reframe. I promise it's not a dance move. It's reframe, okay? Or turning the light bulb, like you're pretending like you're turning the light bulb. It's a reframe here, okay? So what we want to do is we want to reframe difficulties, problems, negative situations into opportunities. Okay, so reframe, we're going to do that shift and we're going to reframe. So instead of seeing struggles as setbacks, we view them as lessons. For example, instead of saying, why Allah, why, what do we say? What do you want me to learn from this? It's an opportunity, right? Every challenge is a chance to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. When I hear the statement, I see nothing but beauty. That is one of the most ultimate reframes right there. It's self-explanatory. Right? Does that make sense? In this disaster and this tragedy, what did this great lady say and do? She reframed it. This despair into beauty. Do you accept this, O Allah? Isn't that so powerful? That's a reframe right there. I see nothing but beauty. Subhanallah. Number 2, practice self-compassion. What does that mean? In our societies, in our communities, that's kind of considered selfish, right? You're thinking about self-compassion. It should only be towards others. But we have to start with that nafs. If we don't turn towards that nafs, how are we going to help to others, right? So the way we speak to ourselves matters. If we constantly criticize ourselves, we destroy our confidence. We want to replace self-criticism with self-encouragement. So instead of saying, I can't, I can't. You heard yourself or your children or people around you, I can't, I won't, I can't. So instead of saying, I can't do this, there's a few ways of doing it. When I work with, let's say, people of no faith, like they don't use faith like secular, right? I can, but I choose not to. Like students, for example, 5 courses, work full time, be on the soccer club and volunteer and do this and that. Instead of saying, I can't do this, I can, but I choose not to. Because that's a lot. Balance is important. We can take this a step further and say, with Allah's help, I can improve. I can improve with Allah's help. Look at what you're doing here. You are propagating positivity. And there's a saying attributed to our beloved Prophet that says, Tafa'alu bil khair tajidu. Propagate goodness, you will find it. Write it down. Write that down. Have you heard of positive psychology? You heard that before? Positive psychology? 1400 years ago, the Prophet said, Tafa'alu bil khair tajidu. Propagate goodness, you will find it. In this day and age, what do they call this? Manifestation, putting it out there, so on and so forth. These cool, glitchy terms, right? But we already have this as part of our faith. Propagating positivity, you will find it. Just like when you want to be around people who are positive and happy and so on and so forth, you want to be around them because they're propagating that goodness. You don't want to be around people who are heavy and the Debbie Downers, right? But if they're clinically depressed and they're sad, inshallah, we're there to support and help them, right? Okay, so to add to this, number 2, I really like this, and I saw it on my daughter's school because she goes to Ahlul Bayt Islamic School, and her teacher taught them this. And I love it for children, but for us to remind ourselves. And I want you to write this and remember this too, and teach it to yourself and your kids, everyone around you. You ready? I will do my best, and Allah will do the rest. It's so simple, but it's so powerful, right? When you have a really challenging task in front of you, whatever it may be in your life, as a student, as a mother or father, or a child, or whatever role you have, they have that written on their test. When she brought it home for signature to sign it, I loved it. I will do my absolute best in whatever task that I must do, and the rest is tawakkul, and Allah will do the rest. It's so powerful, and it's such a great strategy that you can use and teach others around you. And this is also practicing self-compassion. Because you're not perfect, we're not ma'sumin. But we're absolutely going to try our best, right? And you can ask yourself, have I done my best in this task? Okay, I've done my best, khalas, that's it. Done. In Iraqi culture, when somebody sneezes when you say something, it means you're saying the truth. I've heard so many sneezes tonight. So you know what I'm saying is truth according to that myth there. Number 3, in terms of developing a growth mindset, emphasize progress over perfection, right? Parents, those of you who are pushing your kids to do really well in school, instead of, they get 90% or 85%, instead of saying, where's the rest of the 10%? That's not encouraging your child at all, because you're focusing on the negative. What can we do to improve? What can we progress? So this is a small example, but then you can apply that in many areas of your life, right? Because growth is a journey. It is not a destination. Our destination, inshallah, is Jannah. Inshallah, right? So we will stumble, we're going to make mistakes, we commit haram. This is all part of the learning. This is part of the human condition, right? But what matters is that we keep moving forward with Allah's mercy, because it is vast, inshallah. And He looks at our efforts. In other words, our intentions, right? Not just our results. And so when we develop that mindset, we not only transform ourselves, we are preparing ourselves. We are preparing to be part of the movement of Imam al-Mahdi. Does that make sense? Are you seeing the connections here? Also, if you think about how the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt salamullah alayhim, how were they with people? How did they treat people? How did they check on people? How did they talk to people? Wasn't it with mercy and the epitome of Allah's 99 names? So why is it that we do the opposite? Right? Again, a reminder. So my dear brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, our respected sheikh, the whole community, I'm just reminding you of things you already know, but reframe and shift in a different perspective, right? We are awaiting the Imam, and it's not a passive act. It is an active act, right? It is a call to action. It is about preparing ourselves mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, so that when He does appear, inshallah, in our lifetime, we are ready to serve His mission, that it's not just talk. We don't just come and celebrate and, do the happy occasions, but what is it that we are doing daily to prepare for His appearance? So by building, a summary here, our inner confidence, resisting peer pressure, addressing loneliness, and developing a growth mindset, we cultivate resilience that not only strengthens us as individuals, but also fortifies our communities. So inshallah, together we can commit to this journey of self-improvement. We want to strive to be the kind of people the Imam is looking for. When you are hard on yourself, when you are forgetting this, in terms of our daily tasks that just bog us down, realign yourself with this goal. Realign yourself with the Imam. When we say the dua, we say it almost like the tasbih, right? But then are we really mindfully observing and really taking in those words and what they mean, right? So we want to strive to what the Imam is looking for, people of faith, strength, and unwavering dedication to truth and justice, especially in the times that we are living in today. The oppression that we are witnessing in the world today, it's something we've never experienced in our lifetime. Are these signs of the reappearance? Allahu A'lam. May Allah grant us, inshallah, the strength to stand firm, the wisdom to grow through our challenges, and inshallah, the honor of being amongst the true supporters of the Imam. Inshallah, bi'idhnillah, we can count ourselves as one of the 313s, bi'idhnillah. Fasallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad for our first portion of the program. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If you're feeling a little sleepy, wear the stress balls. Keep squeezing them. Wiggle your toes, get the blood flowing.
SubhanAllah, thank you so much, Sister Berak.
Bless you.
That was so moving. And I think that line that you said, the Imam is not looking for perfection. No. The Imam is, it cannot be here.
Effort
it's
and
looking
intention.
for effort.
Yeah.
And that is so beautiful. And that's a great segue into the next portion of the program. Inshallah. So we are going to ask everyone to group up into groups of 7 to 10. So, and if you can just sort of group up amongst people that you are sitting near, maybe adjust your chairs to form a little bit of a group, please. Our volunteers will be handing out one poster board and a group of markers to each group. So please go ahead, adjust chairs. Feel free to move into groups on the floor, on the carpet.
May I also make a suggestion that perhaps if it's somebody you haven't sat and worked with before, this is the opportunity to connect
somebody different?
I like that, yes.
Yeah?
So please try to form groups with people you don't know. We are a community. Let's reach out to that person, that face you don't recognize.
I'm going to give you 1 minute so that I could give the instructions, inshallah. Please pass these out for each group as well. Are we almost all together in groups? A goodie bag? And if you don't have one of the wellness bags here, please ask Sister Zahra. There's a few more over there on the table. I think everybody has one. There's a few extras on. Okay, are we all in groups? Are we all in groups? We're going to come around and give you the instructions. You all have your notes with you as well? You have your notes? Ready? Does everybody have the instruction sheet? I have it up here as well, huh? We're all good? One more? Okay. There should be only one per group, not two, huh? One per group. One per group. We've got like extras here. Just one per group. And you can spread out, inshallah. There's lots of space here. Are we all ready? All ready? Can I have a thumbs up, a yes? We're all ready? Khair, inshallah. Okay, last salawat. All right, a question for everybody to reflect on. Attention up here, please. Attention up here. All right, quick question for everybody to reflect on. If the Imam reappeared today, would I truly be ready to support his mission? So think, this is for you alone right now. Just think about that. You can write it down or just in your head to answer that. Would I truly be ready to support his mission? Remember, we are a work in progress, inshallah. Work in progress. Okay, so we got the thinking flowing now. Started thinking, reflecting. All right. Can I have your attention again, inshallah? Attention up here. Feel like a teacher again. Actually taught for a while. All right. Okay, everybody individually right now, I want you to think about this. Personal and spiritual mental readiness. Okay, think about this. What habits, knowledge, and character traits do I need to develop? Yeah, you can write it down in the notepads or not on the poster. No, not on the poster. Not on the poster yet. This is just to get the juices flowing, so to speak. How can I resist negative peer pressure and stay grounded in Islamic values? Do not write this down on the paper. Do not. They're writing it. I told them not to. Doctor, do not write it down. It's okay. Not yet. This is reflections. The instructions are behind you here and also on the paper. I'm just reading off of that right now. These are reflections right now, okay? How can I replace negative self-talk with a growth mindset to strengthen my resolve? Aunties, we're not talking right now. We're just listening. We're quietly reflecting. I should hear nothing right now. I should hear your brains churning, the wheels. No talking yet. This is just reflecting. You're going to talk soon. Okay, right now, just think of yourself. Okay? Are you answering in your head? Are you reflecting? Or perhaps jotting it down? Okay. We're good? Okay. So the second part, B and C, are also things that we're going to discuss amongst ourselves. Okay? So we're in step number 2, the brainstorming part. For B and C, after you've done the individual reflections, now as a group, inshallah, you can start writing things down, okay? Because what we're going to do in the end is that we're going to take key discussion points that each group is going to present, like in 1 minute or less. Because I know once we got the mic in our hands, we like to talk. So I want each group, before we begin, think of a name for your group. Write it at the top that represents you. And then go through A, B, and C as a group to answer those questions together, inshallah. And then I will give you time at the very end to wrap up so that we can share together. Do you have any questions on what we need to do right now? Is it clear what we need to do? Okay, so we've done the self-reflecting. Now we're going to reflect as a group after you've decided your group name. Okay, and I'm going to come around with everybody. And then you can do the discussion as a group and answer the questions and write them here. And inshallah, this is going to stay kind of like a arida. Remember yesterday we talked about the arida, the letter to the imam? This in a way is your arida as a community that you can keep here, which is why I really recommended we get these papers to keep them here as a record for your community of how you are preparing for the imam, inshallah, holistically. One last question. Is it clear what we're doing? Are we clear? Can I get a thumbs up? Kind of? You're basically answering the questions as a group and writing it down.
So some of their sheets might be
Cut off.
Go ahead, I would suggest reading them so we can say answer these questions on your poster board.
Do you want me to read the questions? Well, because it says a team. Now they go off by themselves. Like they don't need me to do
I would say
Just read the last
I fear a lot of them don't even have this.
They're asking for more papers.
These? Yeah. Well, no, they all are cut off. How did they get cut off? I'm not sure they have it printed. I think whoever printed them. Is it not up here?
By the way, for part B that is cut off, it's up here. You can see it up here. How can families foster faith? Okay. Resilience and unity in preparation. What role does mental health play in sustaining a strong family unit? And the third one says, how can we combat loneliness and build stronger, more connected communities? So if you look up here, both sides, that last part that's cut off on the sheet of paper, it's up here. Yes.
So, we have to determine what our group name is first.
Yeah, write down the group name, and then you're going to answer this together. You're going to do that. That we already did. That's why I said everybody sit and think about it. Yeah.
And then for this, we have to write it down.
Okay, so ladies, I'm going to repeat the instructions one more time. Once you develop essentially a group name for yourselves, go ahead and put that at the top. I would suggest reading off of the sheet here because a lot of the sheets are cut off at the bottom, you'll notice. So the first question you want to answer, and this is what you're putting on your poster board, is how can families foster faith, resilience, and unity in preparation for Imam Mahdi? And once you've answered that, then you can read the other two questions to ponder.
By the way, if you can flip the paper that you have, there's more on the other side. There's a part C. Did you see it? The part C? So please include answers for C as well. If you miss that, just take a look at that to answer as well. Discuss and then just write down the main point, inshallah. We're going to wrap up soon because we're all going to take turns with your really cool, interesting names to present.
I know, sister. So, what is the time to finish? Maybe 9:30, maybe 2 hours. Because people start getting so I think we should maybe give them 2-3 minutes, and then we can start 2-3 minutes to come and present. Okay?
All right, everybody, we're going to jump to step 3. Okay, we're going to get to the solutions and action planning. So number 1, we did our personal reflections. Number 2, we did our group brainstorming. Now we're on step number 3. So if you turn the page, you'll see it at the back. Solutions and action planning. All right, what we're going to do now as a group, you want to choose 1 to 2 key ideas from your discussions and write an actionable step for implementation. For example, create a youth mentorship program to strengthen confidence and faith. That's an example. Organize regular community gatherings to combat loneliness, depression, and so on and so forth. Develop social media campaigns promoting positive mental health and Islamic values. Right? So actionable steps. So you got 3 minutes to do that one, okay? So step number 3, because each group will share their key solutions in a 1-minute summary. Are we clear? We understand what we're doing? If you're not sure, look it over again, if it helps to read it over. So we are now doing step number 3, because shortly we're going to be doing step number 4, where we are going to present what is one key challenge, okay, that you've identified, 1 or 2 practical solutions, and a specific actionable step for the community to implement, okay? All right, 3 minutes, inshallah, for this last part. And then each group will be presenting.
I'm like, good night. I know, I'm just locked out. Yeah. People can pick up some stickers and candies. One to sign. Yeah, so the double one out. You know, love you. I did. Thank you. Inshallah, you can do that. It depends what we want to do next time. Yeah, usually when we start with stuff like this, start with the Yeah, that's good. These bags? Yeah, take them. Please help yourself.
Okay, are we wrapping up step 3? Are we wrapping up? Inshallah, we got all the main points. Okay, who's going to volunteer for step 4 to present as the first group? There is no prize, but then who's watching us? Who's eager? Which group is eager to be amongst the first for the awaited? Do I have to put it that way? That's how we have to put. Oh, mashallah, mashallah, over here. Which group is going to be the first to jump for the imam? This group here. Oh, now you heard me. So which group amongst the ladies is going to be the first to be ready and jump for the imam? There we go. Okay, so we'll come to you here. Okay. So we can keep it informal right where we are. You could stand up, but I need everybody's attention on each group. You have 1 minute. But you still have 1 minute. Okay. All right. So which group, what's the name of your group? Ladies, can we have all the attention over here? And brothers, if we could have all the attention over here. So just give us the name of the group and then the summary.
So our group name is the Strivers of the 313. And so for the habits, we said to stay pure and always in wudu, to not complain too much, have like shukr, follow the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt and like the hadith, and prioritize good companions.
For family community, we prioritized open communication, hold community events, and especially get the youth involved. Stay positive and optimistic. Ensure that the events are youth-friendly, as we said. Mental health is pivotal to the health of the family, and try to volunteer at community events.
MashaAllah. I like how concise that was. Oh, there's still more. Keep going.
So for like the biggest obstacles, we said that an overindulgence in materialistic wealth and like other stuff in the world, forgetting to be thankful, forgetting to do shukr, not believing in tawbah and forgiveness itself, and not offering prayers regularly on time.
For the solutions, we said take out sadaqah on a daily basis, establish prayers with sincerity, and understand that you are reading, understand what you are reading. Visit the sick and elderly to maintain your humility. Speak out against oppression anywhere to anyone, and believe that your tawbah and you will be forgiven by God. And offer shukrani namaz.
Can we have a loud salawat? Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. MashaAllah. I like how you presented it concisely and to the point, and you got it all there. And may I suggest the community leaders and organizers to take note of what your community members are sharing, inshallah, right? Inshallah. All right. So next group over there. Who's going to go after this group? Who's ready for the imam, inshallah? See, when we say it this way, we want to see the hands. Who's going to go next? I think that group, right? The group back there? Yes? Okay. All right. Go ahead. What is the name of your group? It's on. Is the microphone on?
All right. And so, what was the second question?
The question was 1 or 2 practical solutions for what you've proposed in terms of the challenges that you've identified.
Oh, I was talking about like letter B, I guess. The second question for B. Sorry. The
Okay,
mental health.
so each group is going to put a key challenge that you have identified in the categories, and then you're going to give 1 or 2 practical solutions, and then a specific actionable step.
So for our actionable steps, we said we actually did.
I'm hearing a lot of talking on this side, not listening.
So we did 3 solutions. The first one was a elder slash youth mentorship program, kind of like a big brother, big sister program, but for the elders and the youth to like
That is amazing.
bridge that
That's
gap
very
that we all
unique.
have with each other, the youth teaching the elders certain things, elders imposing wisdom upon the youth. And then for the other one that we have for community would be having a community counseling or a social work team accessible to everybody as a resource.
I just want to add to that. So when you have your own counselors from your own community, how comfortable would you feel to go to somebody from the community? Not comfortable? So that's something we need to think. Sometimes people would be comfortable from somebody from their own, and some perhaps offer an outside support as well,
That is-
outside the community as well, just in case.
Yeah. And then as a family thing, we could say like dedicate time as a family to build your spiritual connections, praying together, doing du'as together, listening to majalis together, things like that. So
Thank you very much. What was the name of your group again?
Muntazir servants.
Muntadhar service. Can we have a salawat? Okay, microphone back to this group over here. Who's going to go after this group over here? Can I see the hands? Remember, this is for the imam. You're going to run. You want to present for the imam. Can you just bring a... Who's going, inshallah, after this group here? This group? Who's going after this group? Can I see hands up?
So you talk first.
No, no.
Okay, I'm going to pick.
I'm just gonna say.
What is the name of your group?
The name of our group is the Mehdi Boys, and for B we put for first question for B we put our good deeds, read Quran, Salat, fast.
Okay, hold
and
on, brother.
help
Hold
each
on,
other.
brother. I need you to answer this. What is a key challenge that you have identified? One or two practical solutions and a specific actionable step. So you're not reading to me what you discussed as a group. Okay, you are presenting step number 4. Everybody, please, you are presenting step number 4. You're not sharing what you discussed. We're good?
Yeah.
Go for it.
So what we wrote as a problem
Yes.
for mental health
Yeah.
would be listening to your nafs, like as in like in a bad way, like having too much screen time or doing
So the
something not
listening to
supposed
the amara part of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the solutions that we supposed is listening to Allah, like reading Quran, listening to lectures, following His path, and just overall like gaining knowledge helps you. And another solution would be exercising, having a healthy lifestyle, being positive, having a good diet, having a good mindset, surrounding yourself with good people and good community, going to community events, that kind of stuff would also help you with that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anything to add?
No.
Thank you very much. The Mehdi boys, can we have a loud salawat for them? What was really cool about the Mehdi boys, we had an 8-year-old, the age ranging to the 80 something old. We have a whole range of generation, mashallah, amazing. Okay, the next group. Oh yes, we said this group here at the bottom. This one here. Yes. Thank you very much. What is the name of your group? And remember, a key challenge, 1 or 2 practical solutions, and a specific actionable step. Okay, stand up please and show us.
Assalamu alaikum. Our group's name is Yabna Zahara Group. Our key challenges on an individual level was to establish better communication and establish more respect. At the family level, try to disengage with the disunity, become more engaged with each other, and rid the family of egotistical attitudes. At a societal level, to address, we had thought that there could be peer pressure, digital addiction, drugs, vaping, etc. So solutions, we also like the idea of mentorship, establishing mentorship program. Actually, before that, we thought we would like to distribute a survey to get the needs from the community from the young people as well as the older people in the community. And then,
So, sorry, hold on a second. This is a really neat idea. Are we listening over here? Are we listening? I hear more talking than listening. Please, this is a great idea for the community to have a survey done from the different age groups. So our community leaders here, maybe keep that in mind as something for your community.
yeah, to get a survey to see what type of community needs there are, and to hopefully, inshallah, address them in the form of workshops like this and interactive sessions or seminars. Also, we had liked the idea of establishing big brother, big sister type of team/mentorship program. And another solution we thought would be good for families is also praying together, and that gives an opportunity to communicate better with each other, especially with husband and wife, and of course parents and children. Yeah, that's about it.
We have a loud salawat for Ibn al-Zahra. How about we just, okay, where are we going next? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We have some really great ideas. Is somebody writing down the ideas somewhere? Well, that's why we wanted to keep the big pieces of paper, so you as a community, inshallah, can go through them and take the ideas and share them. Okay, which group is going next? Okay, what's the name of your group?
Assalamu alaikum. The group name is Muntazireen. MashaAllah. So we have the blessing of the Sheikh. So Sheikh left us. Now I am on the kind of a hard seat. So let's see.
Okay, so what is the key challenge that you identified? One or two practical solutions and specific actionable steps.
So we identified the key challenges are hubbe dunya. We are so attached with this world. And the second, the lack of marfa of our imam. So we truly do not understand our imam. We are so busy in our day-to-day life. And the practical steps that we can take to overcome these challenges, so we need to connect with more the teaching of Quran and Ahlul Bayt. We need to self-reflect, and we need to follow the true attributes of the followers of the true imams.
What does that mean, though? Actionable step, what does that mean? We say we need to follow, but what is the actual actionable step? How do you do that?
So follow those spiritual leaders. Those were the true loyal of the imam.
How?
Bringing those beautiful qualities in our life. Like
How? Because these are lovely words, but I don't see an actionable step. I'm challenging you here. An actionable step, for example, was creating a youth and elder mentorship program. That way you bring the values together and learn and teach each other, for example, right? So this is an idea, a concept, but I want an actionable step. How do you implement that in your own community?
Yeah. I think we wrote more activities at our community centers.
Okay.
More sports, maybe
Sports. Okay,
workshops.
so that's sports is something we haven't heard yet.
Yeah.
So that's maybe something that can be done more.
And
Healthy lifestyle, okay. What could be sports your community enjoys?
we have a basketball court outside.
Do you use it?
Some people.
So what if you were to do a tournament? One day for the ladies, or half a day for the ladies and half day for the males?
So
Like do an actual tournament. You're going to take that on, Uncle? You're already doing tournaments? So that's an actionable step where you can implement a lot of these values as a community. Sportsmanship, because have you ever heard of Sunnah sports? I coined that term. Sunnah sports. What are Sunnah sports? Horseback riding, archery, and swimming, right? Sunnah sports, cute, huh? So it's really important to be physically active. So maybe that's something, inshallah, moving forward into the warmer weathers, that we could have more Sunnah sports in the center.
inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Muntadhareen. Next group, inshallah. Can we have a loud salawat? The last group over there. How many groups are left? Can I have hands? The last one back there. You've already presented. And here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Alaikum assalam. Please
Name-
take notes. Community organizers, please take notes of these ideas for yourself, yeah?
Name of our group is the Believers of Imam. Is that a good name?
What was it? The
Believers of Imam.
believers of the Imam. MashaAllah.
What's the first question? We have peer pressure and lot of ego in us.
Ego.
Ego.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And to help that, we should have positive thinking, stay firm in your mindset and faith, support community, raise children in a positive way, avoid haram acts, differentiate between halal and haram, strengthen faith and do your best and leave the rest to Allah.
Aha, okay. What's an actionable step that you thought of as a team?
Practice what you preach. Be a positive role model to your kids. Strengthen your faith spiritually.
How do you strengthen your faith spiritually?
By keeping your faith strong,
How?
making good foundation for your kids
How?
and your family,
How?
keeping them on the right path. You do right, children learn what they see.
Right.
So practice what you preach.
Right, so by modeling.
Yes, by modeling. Stay for the truth and the rights and do not get astray with negative talks and thoughts. Then, yeah. Respect each other and have positive communication. Respect the ideas of everybody. Listening is the goal. Listen to what others have to say, share ideas, and be patient and thankful at all times.
Alhamdulillah. So these are, again, similarly to what was presented here, general ideas. We want to look for actionable steps. I want you to think about that. Actionable steps.
Participate in volunteering activities
There
that
we
make
go.
you happy and increase your self-defense.
Okay.
And change with the time, you know. It's
Just
no
like
time you
Imam
have
Ali
to
alayhi
go along
salam
with
taught
the
us, right?
time. Yes.
Yeah. Do you know which
have-
hadith I'm talking about, by the way? There's a lot of psychology in that hadith.
Yes.
Raise your children not like you were raised, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Change with time, that's what it is.
Okay. So I
Have
think,
workshops,
and
place good foundation, have patience.
I don't want to hear stuff like have patience. We already know that.
Yes.
I don't want to hear that. I want to hear practical, actionable steps. Because
Have
that was for you.
discussions.
These kind of discussions, they are important for discussion in your group. But what we're presenting here, actionable steps in the end.
To have workshops, to get together, have volunteering activities.
Alhamdulillah. So maybe we can brainstorm further in your own time. What kind of workshops? What kind of volunteer activities? So it's more specific that you can
Parenting
work on.
workshops that will increase your self-defense, increase in your positiveness.
Alhamdulillah. Inshallah. So these are, we can build on that, inshallah. Thank you very much. Salawat. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Next group, the last group on this side. And then we have two more, right? Two more here. Okay.
All right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
So
assalam.
our group name is Kuldeen Bros 313, and one challenge that we identified actually was obsession with social media, which leads to depression and negativity in our society. I mean, especially among Muslim, members, community members. So we have two solutions for this. First, we said we gotta restrict the means of the technology, since committing sin has become a lot easier now. And we also said that, can you turn that around? So we see. And then we also said that for those who are going through a lot, we could establish a hotline for all the community members. To
So
offer mental
establishing a
health services.
hotline
Yeah.
for services for the community. That's a wonderful idea. Yeah. So you'll
Yeah.
have trained professionals from or outside the community for that.
I don't
Could
know,
be both.
It could be both, yeah.
Okay.
But especially if we have
Anonymous
someone
and
from our community,
confidential.
yeah, that'd be great. And then we also said
There
that
actually, sorry, just quickly, there is actually something in place for our community, and you've heard of Nasiha. Nasiha. It is a hotline that can be used for texting as well as calling in North America. Nasiha. I actually work with them. I used to always promote them before. They used to come into centers across North America, and they do presentations on mental health. They now, since May, I believe, have a team of therapists that you can access. I'm one of their therapists as well. So that is something that the community can access for free. So if ever you need to chat somebody in the middle of the night, you're having negative thoughts, no one's around, you can contact Nasiha. So maybe our community here can get there. You can contact them. They can send you posters, and they have great bookmarks where they talk. Sorry guys, just quickly, because this is an important point you brought up. They have great resources that they could send you, then you can put here in the community. They could come and do presentations as well, inshallah. They have these really cool bookmarks that talk about, for example, a single mother. Who was raised by a single mother? Prophet. Which prophet?
Muhammad,
As well as Nabi Allah.
Isa.
Exactly. And so they connect these social issues that we have: orphan, single mother, loneliness. Which prophet had a lot of loneliness? Who was stuck in the whale?
Yunus.
Exactly. So they make the connection to social challenges that we have to Islamic concepts like that. So hotline, maybe something more local, but you do have access to Nasiha. Thank you. Keep going.
Yeah, we also said that we could maybe offer free mentorship programs. I think there's this one program called Marifa.
Marifa?
Yeah, helps high schoolers and college students with their, I guess, education. I've never...
Professionals in the field, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know, college students who teach other college students and high schoolers, I guess. Okay. We also said that we could connect members of the community. It doesn't matter if they're female or male, through sporting events, as brother mentioned as well. That'd be great, I guess.
Inshallah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Bless you. Can we have a salawat for the, what was the name again? The Cool Boys, the
Cool Dean
Bros.
Bros. 313.
313. MashaAllah. All right. 2 more here and we're going to wrap up. I do hope somebody's taking note of these ideas. Wonderful. And then inshallah, those big posters, keep them. And as a group together, you can mesh and get some really great feedback here. MashaAllah. What's the name of your team?
Faithful Friends.
Faithful Friends. So, what is a challenge that you identified, 1 or 2 practical solutions, and a specific actionable step?
So we chose isolation, and specifically digitally or even physically, socially too. So in an individual level, we should always remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always with us. And remember, I believe it's a Quranic verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closer to you than your jugular vein. We should share thoughts with close friends, family, and I think, as you mentioned earlier, people that we're comfortable with, either in or outside the community. Just anyone we're comfortable with to share our thoughts. We shouldn't expose ourselves to bad, influential people because they can corrupt our thoughts, ideas. It could even make us feel more isolated, and we will have an urge to fit in with others.
Conform.
Yeah, conform.
That's right.
We shouldn't center our life around social media, which again could corrupt thoughts, but it also influences our behavior, thoughts, and daily lives.
We should have a growth mindset, focused on growing mentally, spiritually, and physically, and we will feel less isolated and need to learn more.
And then for math, we could hold workshops. I think it's really important that we do it at the same age, because it's a lot easier to connect with somebody who's the same age as you, whether with somebody much older than you, because you know they're going through the same challenges along with you.
That's absolutely right. Would you also say, though, along with that idea, that you could still connect with other age groups so you can learn and benefit and teach each other and help each other as well?
Yeah, but it's just easier to connect.
Of course, of course. But the more you connect with others as well, becomes easier over time, wouldn't it? Can I just add a quick thing to that? Because that's something you bring up, that what you brought up is really important. It's easier with the familiar. Everybody cross your arms right now. Just cross your arms. How does that feel? Familiar, normal, right? Keep your arms crossed. Okay, now cross the opposite way. Look how you're doing it. How does it feel? Uncomfortable. Stay like that. Stay for a few moments. Stay like that till she finishes, and I'll ask you again. Keep going, but stay in the uncomfortable, unfamiliar. Keep going. You guys can uncross, only that team. Everybody stay crossed in that uncomfortable way. Keep going.
So another solution we could also try is, as we already mentioned, like limit screen time and stuff. That was also brought up. But instead, or in a way we could do the opposite and like have just a huge meeting online, nothing else, just you and your close family or friends, people who you can connect with easily.
Okay, because it's easier, familiar. Thank you for that. Just hold on. How is everybody feeling now with the uncomfortable? Has it become less uncomfortable? Have you adjusted? Is it becoming more familiar? So things that are uncomfortable, not familiar, we should put ourselves out there for it, because then we can adjust. You just proved right now that you rewired your brain to become more familiar. Did you not just do that? You're used to it now. So is it fair to say that we can connect with other age groups because you will become easier?
Yeah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. All right, can we have a loud salawat for the faithful friends? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. MashaAllah. That was really well thought out, right? MashaAllah. Last group, what do we have? Last but not least, what name do we have?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Alaikum assalam.
Our group name is Super Sisters, and a key challenge that we identified in our society today is being in a Western society.
I guess some solutions are being more with people that think like you, like this. And an actionable step is doing workshops like this, where we can connect with people and identify our goals. And I think the most important thing for us is knowing that our goals are different than the people that we might be surrounded with outside the Idara. And I guess the more workshops we have like this, the more we recognize those goals, and the more we find out, we don't have to be on the same path as them because, again, our goals are different.
But you can still learn, right? You can still learn from them as well, that you could take the good from them too, right? Because then what we're going to do is completely isolate ourselves. We don't want to do that either, right? Thank you. Anything else to add?
I guess basically just learning, maintaining Islamic boundaries is a really big thing, just so we understand that we're also setting boundaries with ourselves, and we're also being true to our religion while also learning about other people's religions.
Ahsantum. Taking the good and keeping the negative away. Anything else? No. MashaAllah. Bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One more. Sorry, I missed that. Thank you, Super Sisters. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. Last but not least, apologies, I missed that. What is the name of your group?
We're the Scholarettes of Imam Mehdi.
MashaAllah, the Scholarettes. Unique name.
Our key challenge is family and community preparation, and some solutions of that are faith-based goals like doing namaz every day, waking up for Fajr, reading Quran, and a positive mindset, like as you said, like don't say bad stuff to you, like say like, oh, I'm good, like limiting unproductive technology use, like things that aren't useful, like scrolling, but like if you use it for like maybe online Quran, then it's better.
The actionable step that we chose is creating a database of mental health resources and professionals. So just like Nasiha, but something that we can like email, like I don't know if you've seen like school emails, but they have like grassroots at the bottom. So maybe if you have like a mental health website or like a few resources at the bottom of our emails that our community can easily access.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea. MashaAllah.
Oh, we also have practicing gratitude and ibadat with group and family members.
Yeah, mashallah, we do that throughout the year in different times, especially with Shahar Ramadan coming around the corner. Mashallah, anything else to add?
Nope.
How did you find this activity?
Which activity?
This whole thing we did. The whole thing we did right now. This whole thing. How did you find writing out these ideas and discussions and coming up with the plan? Yeah.
It was actually really good because we got to talk about stuff and we created a nice list of what we thought were obstacles and then what we thought we could do, as well as like what we could do to prepare more. So we have like a whole list, like volunteering and like group therapy, like safe spaces. We also have like letters to Imam Mahdi other than like arizas, just so that we feel more connected to our Imam. And then we have like assertive speaking or food drives or validating feelings to build empathy within the community.
MashaAllah.
So we thought a lot of things out.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Bless you. Can we have a loud salawat for the scholarettes? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. MashaAllah for every single one of you who's contributed thoughts, discussions, ideas, all of that. I know the time is pretty late now, so we're going to wrap up, inshallah. Just an overall question for everybody. How did you feel about this activity as a whole community? Feels good? Got you to think about things, reflect, hear different ideas from different backgrounds, ages, genders, right? That, mashallah, you're very resourceful. A lot of you have so much to contribute together, right? Inshallah. Great. So as we're wrapping up here, I want you to think about, this is something you can write in your notebooks if you want to take them out or in your phone, one personal commitment to take forward for yourself. So just think of here for yourself, what is one personal commitment that I am going to take forward for myself? For example, I will read more about Imam Mahdi weekly. I will speak more positively about myself and others. What is something that really stood out for yourself or that you want to work on moving forward for yourself? So just jot that down. And for the big posters, we have a sister coming around taking them. So just take a moment to reflect, write it down in your notebook, write it in your phone. What is an actionable personal step for you moving forward that you can work on for yourself to connect yourself closer to your Imam, especially with the idea of wellness that we explored today, holistic wellness. It's not moving forward. That's okay. We're all done our personal reflection. Anybody want to share? Or we've done enough sharing today? Sharing, yeah. You want to share to them? Put you on the spot.
Sure. And perhaps I will segue into, are we closing up the program
we're closing
at
up,
this point?
inshallah. We're going to finish with a dua.
On behalf of the Idara community, I wanted to convey my gratitude, my thanks. This was such a fantastic workshop, so many great ideas. I mean, I know the gears in my head are turning, and I'm sure everyone's going to be leaving the same way. So thank you for coming and sharing your expertise with us. I like your idea. I think my commitment is, I think I'm going to start a journal but letters, daily letters, or maybe weekly if I can manage it, to my Imam. Beautiful. And I'm just going to start that journal. Beautiful. So that's my commitment. But again, can we all recite a salawat for Sister Berak?
God bless you. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And guys. Brother Wesley, will you come and lead Dua Faraj for us?
The dua, inshallah.
Sorry.
I was going to do a mindfulness meditation at the end, but I think we're all relaxed and chill as is. There's no need for it. But just quickly, what it is, I think we've all reflected that with how we've been thinking today, how we've noticed things, how you were aware of things. That's being mindful. Remember how the Prophet eats pomegranates. Does he talk to people? We've read about this. When he eats his rumman, his pomegranates, his favorite fruit, what has he taught us? The taste, the flavor, the color. He chews it, mindfully aware of how he eats it. He doesn't talk to anybody when he eats that. And when I read about that, that for me was mindfulness. And this new age ideas of how to do mindfulness talks about when you eat, focus on your food. I'm like, that's exactly how the Prophet taught us. Mindfulness is that, being aware, present in the moment, fully focused on what you were trying to do. And you can do that for yourself in your salah, in your dhikr, in your fasting, in any mode. When you take yourself in that mindfulness mode, you leave the past, you're thinking about the past, and worry about the future, the anxiety. You're living in that present moment, especially in your salah, in the dhikr, right? And the balls that you guys have, so you can continue using those. But imagine if you do that from head to toe. Inshallah, next time you bring me, we'll do that. The mindfulness meditation, breathing techniques through your nose. You can all do that with me, and then hold and then release out any negativity. So breathing in, filling your lungs as though it's expanding through your nose. And then you hold and expand and release out. Very, very slowly. You do that a few times. You can do it by counting up to 4. So breathe in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 through your nose. Hold, counting to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then release to 8. 7, 8. And you do this very slowly. If you do this fast, you'll get dizzy. So you could do very soft, calm breathing techniques like that. Muscle tension, so tensing and releasing just like you do with the ball. And just being mindful of being where you are in the moment, when you're eating, when you're praying, when you're talking to people, can really help reduce the stress hormones in your body. Inshallah, segue into future events, we'll do more of these activities, inshallah. Let's wrap up with the beautiful dua al-faraj, and I want you to be mindful of every single word and what it means. The brother can come up here and recite that, and also be mindful of how he recites and how it lifts up your spirits. Have you noticed how your spirits lift up when he recites? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Let us recite this together, inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائهم في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.